Well, good morning, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. My name is Danielle Russell. I am head of product marketing here at Nudge Security. And with me today is Garrett Gross, my partner in crime and head of product management here at Nudge Security. Garrett, how's it going?
Great, Danielle. How are you?
I am doing great. I was jamming out a little bit backstage to that intro music. It was like a total vibe.
Good job, Vince.
Yeah, we got DJ Vince here helping us out today. So we are live. So before we even get started, please ask us questions, engage. We'll be on chat for the next 25 minutes or so. We've got some exciting news to share. Earlier this week, we launched some big changes to the Nudge Security platform. So Garrett, I don't want to spoil it. I'm going to let you do the honors and kind of talk through what we launched this week.
Oh, yeah, I really appreciate that. Yeah, we are super excited today. We launched a new playbook that's going to help you automate employee offboarding, something that's been, if you've ever been in systems administration, IT, security, it's just something that we always have had to do. And it's always kind of been a manual task and been kind of vexing. You never really look forward to offboarding employees, but for many reasons, obviously, but just the task itself. So we're looking to automate a lot of that. And just to kind of give you a high level overview of what that entails, we're going to help you disable the user account login, identify any accounts that might be critical to your company, as we're relying on a lot of critical infrastructure through our SaaS apps these days. Revoke all the access that you might have as a result of that account through your workspace account, Microsoft or Google, anything through your SSO or your IDP, Okta, Azure AD. We can even, we're starting to automate the process of revoking passwords or resetting the passwords for manually created accounts with username and passwords. Quickly iterating on that, but we're at least giving you the ability to reach out to that password reset email or email form and then reset that pretty quickly.
So
And
yeah.
sorry, go ahead, Danielle.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of good functionality in there. I just want to underscore that last thing that you just said, because I think it really speaks to kind of how we're automating some of the things that were not automatable before, right? We've always had some offboarding automation here and there in our IT process, but to be able to actually say, hey, this is an unmanaged, unsanctioned account that someone spun up in development or marketing while they were here, to be able to say, like, to go in and revoke that password automatically, hit the easy button so that user doesn't walk out with a post-it note with some username and password credentials after they leave the organization. That's pretty big.
That's a really great point, Danielle. Oftentimes with offboarding, we're overlooking a lot of that stuff that we just kind of swept under the rug in the past. So not only are we getting this immense visibility of the actual true app usage of your employees, but yeah, you're right. We're automating processes that we just have had to do manually over the past couple of years.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that a little bit more because, obviously we're building on capability that we already had in Nudge Security, which is to discover all of the IT that employees and business units are adopting kind of outside the centralized procurement and centralized IT organization. And as you said, offboarding has always been a bit of an Achilles heel for sysadmins and IT teams. But I can you speak a little bit more to kind of your experience with IT offboarding and like what makes it so hard and kind of where the real pains lie?
Yeah. So first and foremost, there's never been any kind of standardization in employee offboarding. I mean, I'm okay admitting that in a lot of jobs that I started, I would go look for an offboarding template to use so that I didn't have to reinvent the wheel. So just even understanding what's at stake. So you have to understand all the access that your employees are afforded and then work backwards to revoke that. And as you can, assume that's going to take forever, because we're usually using spreadsheets or Word docs or something. It's not efficient, and it opens the door to a lot of mistakes being made. And when you're the arbiter of how an employee leaves your company with access or without, the ability to make mistakes, we want to have a very small margin of error here. And to be honest, like I said earlier, we've just swept a lot of this under the rug as employees leave the company because there's just so much that we aren't able to be aware of, outside of SSO, IDP, or anything that we've, restricted locally on the machines.
And I think that's what we've heard from a lot of our customers too, right? Is that one of the hardest parts of starting with any kind of IT offboarding process is just knowing what needs to be offboarding, right? We've heard this from customers. We did some surveying of IT professionals. We surveyed 375 IT pros earlier this month, and we asked them, how long does it take you typically to find all of the cloud and SaaS access that employees have spun up during their tenure at a company? And on average, folks are spending like 64, 65 minutes just to build that list. And they're referencing up to on average, three different sources, right? And those sources vary widely, right? They might be the IDP. It might be actually asking the employee, like, hey, what did you sign up for? Oh, I don't remember. So there's a lot of hunting just to get to the starting line of offboarding.
I mean, that seems pretty accurate, for an average, but I can tell you I've spent way longer than an hour sometimes figuring out what all access someone has had as they're leaving the company, especially if this is an unplanned departure. That always, again, just increases the ability that you might make some mistakes. And one thing I just want to make really clear, it's not always malicious use that we're worried about, or misuse rather. This could be, like you said, Danielle, a marketing campaign or an engineering project that was just never really shuttered, and that employee leaves the organization with that access, and they may not misuse it, but it might be compromised later on down the road, and then that access can be used against your organization. So again, just stuff that we've just had to learn lessons from, and a lot of things that we probably didn't think of initially.
Yeah, and just to kind of piggyback on that, malicious use or security incidences are kind of one consequence that we see organizations grappling with. Business disruption is another common one. How many times have we heard stories of, oh, hey, someone owned this registered domain or the corporate
Mhm.
social media handle, and they left the company. We forgot, we didn't realize it. The bill didn't get paid, or now we're locked out of some account, or something breaks because that offboarding wasn't done completely and efficiently.
That's
Business disruption and then wasted spending, I think, is another area. No one wants to be spending money on SaaS licenses or seats for former employees, right? And sometimes just knowing, hey, what do we have all out there? Where do we need to consolidate? Who owns this application? Who's the person who assigns seats and manages this contract? That can be a really hard or a challenging part of just getting visibility. And so all of those consequences and all those impacts, retained access, security incidents, business disruption, wasted spending. We also asked the folks who we surveyed about that, and overall, 70% of our survey respondents said, "Yeah, I've at least one time I've experienced those negative consequences of IT offboarding." And I think for folks who've lived that, that number would probably seem a little low,
Yeah.
kind of anecdotally. So, yeah.
Well, and to kind of take it a step further, oftentimes finance and security don't really intermingle. But if you think about it, if you have a bunch of applications out there that you haven't reclaimed the license on, you have kind of wasted money, that could be money spent on another member of your security team, on a upgrade to your security stack or something like that. So I mean, in a tangential way, that wasted money could actually affect your actual security posture.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's take a closer look at the product itself and kind of what we launched. As we mentioned, some of the things that we have built into this playbook and that we've really focused on automating are really outside the scope of what we've seen from other IT automation and IT workflows that do focus on offboarding. So we've
Yeah.
kind of, have gotten so far, and then I think folks have said, well, some things are just not automatable, and we've kind of broken that a little bit with this playbook. So just kind of, can you walk us through kind of how this playbook works?
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, before we go on, you threw out a stat a while ago about somehow we're spending over 5 hours per employee on this offboarding, and it seems kind of ridiculous. But when you break it down, like I said, that must be an average because I've spent way more time offboarding an employee on that, just because, like you said, trying to find all that information in one fell swoop can be difficult. So to that end, that's really what this playbook is meant to do, is aggregate all this information, all these decisions into one place to where we can spend the least amount of time as possible. I assume everyone can see my screen, but the first one we want to look at is this is a Google employee. We have this for both Google and Microsoft, but if we look at this Google account, we can see what their account status is, what the status of their recovery methods of phone and email are at, and then when was their last password reset, because we need to leave this account viable and active for us to perform a lot of these revocations, but we don't want to leave the opportunity for the employee to just basically go give themselves access again. So we have the ability to go through, remove these recovery methods, and then reset the password in this dialog to where at that point the account is effectively disabled from the user. And then we can go through and start to understand what critical resources does this person have under their purview. So like, looks like there is a Slack workspace. Oh, secret workspace talk. Well, we should probably know about that. Maybe that's something we want to prune. Maybe that's something we want to reassign, because like I said, you have someone leave the organization and they control some pretty important resources. You want to make sure that those are transferred out prior to their departure. Updating app to app integration is very similar to that. Any OAuth grants that you might have that you want to make sure that you don't break as that employee leaves, we kind of attest to, yes, we're going to go ahead and transfer that over to someone else. Revoking all the OAuth managed accounts. This is something, again, we put all this into one place to where you have a bird's eye view of it, and then we can go through here and we can revoke those in one fell swoop. The part that we're really excited about, or one of the parts rather, is this revoking of unmanaged accounts. And again, we're going to list out all the accounts that the employee has that's was signed up with a username and password. And then from here, we can take them, we can go in there, we can try to revoke automatically. Or if that fails, we do have the ability to go right out to that manual password reset. So like that, go through there, find the password reset link, and then go through and print that out.
So these are all of these SaaS accounts that are not sitting behind SSO, that are not sitting within the corporate IDP. These are ones that are just kind of random, and maybe folks have just signed up for as you said, username or password. So
that's right. Because without this type of functionality, I mean, you'd effectively have to ask the user to log in and reset the password for you, which in a lot of circumstances that could be possible, but a lot of circumstances it's not. But in both circumstances, that is a long process that just takes a bunch of time. So again, in an effort to speed this up and automate a lot of this, we've provide that ability. And then once you have all of these accounts revoked and access revoked, you then begin the laborious task of reaching out to your entire workforce and saying, hey, these accounts have been deleted. Hey, you're the new owner of this account. Hey, you can reclaim these licenses. And again, if you're talking about 3 or 4 individuals to contact, that's still probably an hour-long process. Imagine if you had 48 accounts that you needed to communicate that cleanup to. That could take several days. So much like we're involving the users in, asking about why you're using apps or how you're using them, we're also involving the users to help us clean up this kind of after effect of this offboarding.
This might be my favorite part, by the way, because you and I have talked about your experience with offboarding, and I don't think I really had appreciated how much coordination and, kind of corralling cats there that goes into offboarding, right? There's a direct line manager, there's the HR organization, and then there are the business owners of all of the different technology that user might have been using. And so, what a cool feature to be able to use our nudging capability and functionality. We're already engaging with users. We already know who the right technical contact is,
That's right.
or application owner is for every single one of these. And we can just fire off that and orchestrate all of that work and kind of redistribute it from one central place rather than having to go chase people down. As you said, a lot of times offboarding is happening very quickly or is an urgent request. And so instead of scrambling, there's a few clicks of buttons here that can kind of help streamline that process. So
Well,
very
because
cool.
I think we're glossing over the fact that it actually takes quite a bit of work to identify what an app is and who owns it. So even just getting to that point is saving us a bunch of time, but then taking it a step further to again automate that engagement to where I just click a button, I say, hey, please go do all this work, and then as expected, once we've completed this offboarding, we get a little celebration here. But more importantly, we have a tabulated report that is audit ready. If you want to attest to all the access that it was revoked, you have that all located in one report here that, again, it's super easy to peruse through and see every action that was taken. So if there's ever any question of what was revoked, what was not revoked, we provide that in a auditor ready format here for you.
This is excellent. What a cool tour. Thanks for walking us through that, Garrett.
Awesome.
So we're coming up on kind of the end of our live session here today, but there's more. Obviously, if you can't get enough of Garrett and me talking about employee offboarding, and who can't, we will be doing a webcast next week on the 22nd of June. Will be our live broadcast, and then we'll have it on demand available. So you can go to nudgesecurity.com. I think we're also going to drop that link here in the chat so you can register for that. We'll be doing a deeper dive into the functionality as well as the survey results, just around kind of the challenges and consequences of IT offboarding, especially for cloud and SaaS access. Garrett, I want to thank you so much for being with us today. If folks want to not wait until the 22nd and try this out for themselves, how do they do that?
Well, you can go to our website and you can sign up for a free trial, nudgesecurity.com. Very easy to sign up and get going. I think, depending on how many users and mailboxes you have, we're looking at maybe 20 minutes to a couple hours for a full assessment.
Look at that. So if you are looking at, spending the next few hours finding someone's SaaS accounts when you're trying to offboard them or getting started with Nudge Security, you probably better bet and faster bet is to go start the free trial, spin it up. No commitment, no credit card, no sales pushes. You can disconnect it and delete the data as soon as you're done if you'd like to. But definitely take advantage of our free trial there. Obviously, reach out to us if you guys have any questions. If you want to chat, we are very active on the socials. So don't be a stranger. And Garrett, again, thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
All right, take care.